Thanks for joining us. A controversial decision by President Donald Trump sparks widespread protests throughout the country, including here in the Twin Cities.
This morning, the Trump administration chose to end a program which protected young undocumented immigrants from being deported. Since 2012, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, known as DACA, protected nearly 800,000 young undocumented immigrants who came to this country as children. The Department of Homeland Security will phase out the program by allowing current work permits to expire. Any new requests will be considered on a case-by-case basis. Attorney General Jeff Sessions called the executive action made by then-President Barack Obama unconstitutional. Sessions today said the U.S. must limit the number of immigrants it accepts each year.
This does not mean they are bad people or that our nation disrespects or demeans them in any way. It means we are properly enforcing our laws as Congress has passed them.
President Trump called on Congress to come up with a solution to preserve DACA's protections. President Obama called Trump's decision to roll back the Dreamers program cruel and self-defeating. Obama joined several Democrats and prominent Republicans who have voiced strong opposition to the decision. Right now, there are two major protests supporting Minnesota's immigrant communities. You're looking live at a group that's held a short rally outside the Minnesota Republican headquarters on Franklin Avenue to demand protections for undocumented immigrants. Now from this live Sky 4 shot, you can see that the group has grown and they're filling the street as they march through the Cedar Riverside neighborhood of Minneapolis. They are on their way to the federal courthouse in downtown Minneapolis, and that's where Esme Murphy is standing by right now. So they're headed your way, Esme.
Absolutely, Frank. Now, the protesters that are here are expressing their outrage over the president's action. Earlier this afternoon, there was a news conference at the state capitol where Minnesota state legislators as well as activists called on Minnesota's members of Congress to take a stand against President Trump.
Ending DACA today will affect nearly 800,000 young people, more than 6,300 who reside and work in our state of Minnesota.
At the Capitol, legislators and activists denounced the president's call for an end to DACA. Among those speaking here, 26-year-old Catalina Morales, a DACA recipient who was brought to the U.S. at the age of 2 by relatives.
I went to high school, and thanks to DACA, I started college last year.
Both her sisters are also DACA recipients.
I think the reaction right now is a lot of fear.
We spoke to Morales at the offices of Isaiah, where she works helping other immigrants. Now she wonders what will happen to her, her sisters, and other dreamers.
This is not what we deserve as a community. This is not what I deserve. I've been here all my life. I have given to this country all I can.
Morales says she is hoping Congress acts to block the president's rollback of DACA, and she is frustrated with President Trump, who in the past indicated he was sympathetic to the Dreamers.
DACA recipients are becoming doctors, are becoming lawyers. They have a life here, and they've had a life for a long time. So I don't see any good of this. So it's evil.
Now, we are hearing from a number of members of Congress from Minnesota, Senators Al Franken and Amy Klobuchar, as well as Congressman Walz and Ellison and Congresswoman Betty McCollum, are all denouncing in the strongest of terms the president's action. However, we are hearing support for the president coming from statements from the chair of the Minnesota Republican Party and also Congressman Tom Emmer.
All right, Esme, we also want to mention that group just kind of passed through the Seven Corners area, and they are headed downtown. Not only to keep an eye on the news of the day, but also how it might affect the evening commute through downtown Minneapolis. And we'll check back with you, Esme, at 6 o'clock as well. And stay with us. We'll continue to follow this all evening on TV and online. And coming up at 6, a deeper look at how illegal immigrants affect the Minnesota economy. Pat Kessler has that reality check for you on our news at 6.